Hi, I'm Barry from the Free Company of Anglesey, a multi-kingdom melee unit, mostly from the kingdoms of Atlantia, Ethelmark, and the East. I have been fighting since 1993, primarily focused on melee spear. The shot I'd like to talk about today is the smack, dip, and hit. It is a shot used with long spear against an opponent with a long spear in any one-on-one situation that you can create on the battlefield, even if only for a second. Examples would be if there's only one spear across from you, or if the other spears across from you are either occupied with other spears, or there's an obstacle in the way, or perhaps they have thrown a shot and you have a small window of opportunity to pull off this maneuver against your opponent. To begin this shot, start by engaging your spear against your opponent's spear. Then with as much force as you can pull off, try to either shove or smack their spear such that it pushes their spear offline. At this point, you want to point your spear in a threatening manner at your opponent as if to kill them. At this point, your opponent will then try to re-engage your spear by moving it back to the center line to keep you from being able to stab them. When they do this, dip your spear underneath their spear, allowing their spear to pass over the top of your spear. At this point, there will be an opening in either the torso or the hip, and this is your opportunity to kill them. And here's an example of the entire maneuver: the smack, dip, and hit. So why does this work? In my experience, most good spear fighters rely mainly on either hitting open targets, hitting people who are not looking at them, steering around the spear shaft, or opening up their opponent using feints. Actually maneuvering the weapons out of the way is probably the least common tactic I've seen on the battlefield. That does not mean that people don't use it, but it is uncommon. Because this shot is so uncommon, there's a good possibility that your opponent will not be used to this maneuver, giving you a greater opportunity of landing the kill. The second reason why this shot works is that spears are long, which give them a large moment of inertia. What this means is, in order to move the spear in a swinging action, side to side, takes a lot of energy and effort to get this moving. If you can move their spear off to one side, it takes a lot of energy to stop that spear, slow it down, get it moving back in the other direction. If you can get them moving across your body from this side and now over to this side, once you've dipped under their spear, they have to now slow down the spear to bring it back across their body. Again, here's an example of the perspective from the enemy that you're trying to kill. And now here's a perspective from your vantage point against the enemy that you're trying to kill. The best way to try to pull off this maneuver is to practice it consistently against other spear fighters at your local practice. In addition to that, you should do your own homework on a pelt. I like to practice a few methods. The first method is you need to practice smacking an object and then pulling your spear immediately back on line with the target and then hitting the target. You should also practice dipping your spear down and then shooting back up at the target. And then of course you should try to put both of these elements together by smacking an object, dipping your spear down, and then hitting a target. Most people practice by pointing at the target and then hitting the target. So in order to pull off a shot where you have to start moving your spear before you fire is going to be something that is unfamiliar with you and will not be very effective at first. The best way to avoid getting killed by this shot is to not have your spear knocked offline in the first place. The only way to manage that is through practice. I like to think of it like a surfer riding a surfboard and a big wave comes to try to knock them off the surfboard. The waves that come are going to be of different sizes and the surfer's never going to know what size to expect. So when the wave starts to knock them off such that they're going to fall off the surfboard, they have to then rebalance by moving to the other side. If they don't move enough, they're going to get knocked off the surfboard. If they move too much, they'll wobble and get knocked off the other side. Same thing's true with a spear. If you don't hold your spear firm enough, when someone pushes against your spear, they can easily knock it offline. If you hold it too firm, they can disengage and take your momentum with you to the other side and knock you offline. You need to get used to how firm you need to hold your spear, and that is going to be a dynamic that is constantly changing throughout the fight. The best way to practice this is simply to get another spear fighter with a spear and practice against them. You don't even need armor on, and just practice holding that center line. Thanks for listening. I hope that you can use my signature shot, the smack, dip, and hit.